My name is Beatrice, and for 30 years, my life revolved around one person, my daughter, Anna. I raised her alone after her father abandoned us when she was barely 2. We had nothing in those early years but each other. I worked 2 jobs to put food on the table, skipped meals so she could eat, and wore secondhand clothes so she could go to school in something decent. Every achievement she had, I celebrated as if it were my own. I thought foolishly that a bond forged in struggle was unbreakable. When Anna was 10, I met a man named Stephen. He was kind at first, but not a father figure to her. He had his own children from a previous marriage and never showed much interest in mine. But Anna was polite to him, and over time, he became a constant presence in her life. By the time she was in her late teens, she started calling him Dad. It stung, but I told myself that love couldn't be divided, only multiplied. I thought I was gaining support for my daughter, not losing her. Stephen's ex-wife, Patricia, came into the picture later, after she mended her relationship with her children. Patricia had a certain charm and wealth that I couldn't compete with. She spoiled Anna with expensive gifts, took her on fancy vacations, and made her feel part of a glamorous world I could never afford. I noticed the shift. The way Anna's phone calls became shorter, her visits fewer, and her conversations peppered with Patricia this and Patricia that. Still, I believed in my heart that when it mattered most, I'd be the one she leaned on. I was wrong. The day of Anna's wedding was supposed to be the proudest day of my life. I had helped with the preparations, spent nights sewing small details into her gown to make it perfect, and even took out a loan to help pay for the venue deposit. I imagined us walking together down the aisle, arm in arm, like we had walked through life, side by side. But when the moment came, Anna didn't even look at me. Instead, she took Patricia's arm and walked down the aisle with her, beaming for the cameras. I stood there, frozen, my smile trembling as I tried to keep it together. Then came the speech during the reception. Anna thanked the woman who had been like a mother to her and talked about how Patricia had been her rock, her guide, her inspiration. Not once, not once did she mention me. I felt the weight of 30 years crumble inside me. I left early, my dress still smelling faintly of the perfume I'd worn to try to feel special that day. I went home, sat in my dark living room, and replayed every sacrifice I had made. Every night I stayed awake when she was sick, every bill I paid late so she could have what she wanted. Every insult I endured from people who thought a single mother was less of a woman. I realized then that my daughter had made a choice, and I decided I would make mine. Revenge, I've learned, is not about screaming or slamming doors. It's about patience and precision. Over the next few months, I quietly began untangling myself from her life. The loan I had taken for the wedding, I informed her that she would now be responsible for repaying it. I transferred the title of the small apartment she had been planning to inherit into my niece's name. I stopped cooking her favorite meals when she visited and instead treated her like any other guest. Then I went deeper. I still had photographs, letters, and memories of our life before Patricia, proof of who had really been there. I made an album, not for Anna, but for everyone else. Family, friends, neighbors, they all received a copy of Anna's Childhood, The Truth. It was filled with images of me holding her hand on the first day of school, sewing her prom dress, and standing in the rain at her university graduation because I couldn't afford an umbrella after paying her tuition. People saw the reality. They started asking her questions. Her perfect image with Patricia began to crack. At family gatherings, relatives would comment on how lucky she was to have had a mother who had done so much, and how sad it was that she seemed to forget. Patricia herself began to notice the whispers, and I could see the strain in their relationship. But my final move came a year later, when Anna and her new husband were trying to buy their first home. They needed a co-signer for the mortgage, and of course, she came to me. She smiled like nothing had happened, acting as though the wedding day had been a misunderstanding. I listened quietly, then told her, "I'm sorry, Anna. I can't co-sign. I'm not family like Patricia is, remember?" The look on her face, the mixture of shock, shame, and dawning regret, was the closure I had been waiting for. From that day on, Anna's calls became more frequent, her tone more humble. But I never forgot the humiliation of that wedding. I allowed her into my life again, but only on my terms. She had to earn back every ounce of the trust she had thrown away.